What's up, string heads? This is Drew Althoff with Althoff Guitar coming to you from Althoff Studios. And today we are talking about my Barre Chord Starter Pack. And so this video is for you if you finally got the hang of the mechanics of playing a bar chord. Maybe you've learned a couple shapes, you've learned F, maybe you've learned B minor, and you want to know how to integrate this new skill holistically into your playing. And if you find today's lesson helpful, then I've included a free PDF to download in the description. Make sure you download that so you can reference what we talked about today. In this video, we're going to take 4 bar chord shapes and 4 fret numbers and use them to figure out where any chord you could possibly play is on the fretboard. We are going to start by looking at the Barre Chord Starter Pack PDF here. We have E shapes in the left column and A shapes in the right column. E shapes are called that because the root of the chord is starting on the E string, the low E string that is. And with the A shapes, the root is starting on the A string. By the root of the chord, I mean the note that the chord is named after. For example, the root of a G chord is G. The root of an A chord is A, and so on. Let's take a look at the E shapes column first. We have major and minor. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the mechanics of playing bar chords. This video is more about using the shapes to figure out where all the chords are throughout the neck. So, I'm going to show you these shapes all starting from the 3rd fret. First, we have major for E shapes. Looks like this. Sounds like this. Next, we have minor. And to make the minor, you simply release your middle finger, respectfully, from the major shape. Ooh, nice. Okay, now let's look at the A shapes. Still starting from the 3rd fret, I'm going to start barring from the A string here and then use my ring finger to bar the D, the G, and the B strings. Now, a quick note about this chord. It can be pretty hard at first to bar with your ring finger, but stick with it. I promise you'll get there. You'll learn to love it. It can be hard to have that high E string ring from your first finger, but just keep at it. You'll get there. Another note about these A shapes is that you don't want the low E string to ring. So what I like to do, I don't know if you can see here, but I'm using my first finger to actually mute that E string. So I can strike the whole guitar and not hear anything out of that low E, which is great. Another thing you can do, if you want to, you can actually go ahead and bar it. Bar the entire guitar with your first finger. And that bottom note technically is part of the chord. But if you're doing that, just know that it's not the root of the chord. The root of the chord is actually located on the A string. I like to use both. I usually go for this, but they both have different applications, just slightly different sounds, so it's up to you. Okay, let's talk about the minor for the A shapes. And it looks and feels almost exactly like the major E shape, except we've just moved it from one set of strings, here's the major E shape, to the next set of strings. And now we have the minor A shape. Ooh, very nice. Okay, now that we've gone over those 4 bar chord shapes, let's go ahead and talk about what I call the magic fret numbers. And those fret numbers are going to be frets 3, 5, 7, and 8. And we're going to look at those fret numbers on both the E and the A string. So on the E string, we have 3, 5, 7, 8. And on the A string, 3, 5, 7, 8. Now, those 8 frets, the 4 on the E string and the 4 on the A string, I'm going to ask that you start to memorize those notes. On the E string, it's G on the 3rd fret, A on the 5th, B on the 7th, C on the 8th. And on the A string, starting on the 3rd, we have C, D on the 5th, E on the 7th, and F on the 8th. And all of this is displayed right in the middle of the Barre Chord Starter Pack, so you can use that to reference that. So how do we start to use these frets plus the shapes to figure out where our chords are across the neck? Well, I'll show you. Taking a look at the sheet here, let's say we want to play an A minor chord as a bar chord. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to see that A is located at the 5th fret of the E string. And since we want to play a minor chord, and since we're starting from the E string, we're going to go to the E shapes, pick out the minor, and apply it to the 5th fret of the guitar. And it's going to look and sound like this. One of my favorite chords. Okay, let's say now you want to play E major as a bar chord. We are going to find it there on the A string at the 7th fret. So we're going to take our major shape from the A shapes and apply it to the 7th fret. Very nice, very pretty. Now you might be thinking, but Drew, I already know E and A minor as open chords. Why do I need to know them as bar chords? Well, this has got a pretty different sound. E to this E. In some circumstances, you want that higher sound. It sounds kind of brighter, to me at least. And another thing about playing these chords as bar chords is that you can really cut the sound, make them a staccato, which is a bit harder to do with an open chord. So let's say that you know your open chords and you're comfortable reading chord charts for songs you want to learn with your open chords. But every once in a while you stumble upon a chord that says E flat or it says A sharp and you go, well, I don't know how to play E flat. I don't know how to play A sharp. This Barre Chord Starter Pack is going to help you there too, and let me show you how. The first thing I think is worth mentioning is that sharp means raised a half step, and on the guitar, a half step is 1 fret. So if here's my A sharp is 1 fret above, raised a half step. Flat means the opposite. Flat means lowered a half step. So starting from A here, we lower a half step 1 fret to A flat. Now, this fret here can be A flat. It can also equally be G sharp. It all depends on the key of the song that you're playing. So, taking a look at our Barre Chord Starter Pack here, let's say that you would like to play an A flat major. Well, we already know from earlier that you can locate your A and take your E shape major shape. But since we're playing A flat, you're going to start it 1 fret lower on the 4th fret rather than the 5th. And voila, that is your A flat chord. Let's say you want to play C sharp minor. Okay, let's take a look at our sheet and we see C there on the A string on the 3rd fret, and this is going to be C sharp minor. So we're going to take the minor shape and raise it a half step from C, which is 1 fret, making a C sharp minor. Alternatively, you could find your C there on the 8th fret of the E string, the low E string, raise that a half step to the 9th fret, and use your minor shape from the E shapes. Ooh, that one's nice. Another thing I want to note here is that there are no sharps or flats between B and C and E and F, and that is why you see them right next to each other on the 7th and 8th fret of the E string and the A string. So to recap, we took 4 bar chord shapes, 4 fret numbers on the E string and the A string, and applied our knowledge of sharps and flats to be able to find virtually any chord you could possibly want to play. Now, more iterations of these chords exist beyond the 8th fret and below the 3rd fret, but I truly believe that this map from frets 3 to 8 is a perfect starter pack for getting you playing any song you could possibly want. It is wonderful to learn from videos, from YouTube. I use YouTube as a big resource in my own learning, but there's nothing like private instruction from somebody that sees your playing and cares about your experience with guitar. If you want private lessons from me, visit althoffguitar.com. You can book a lesson in person or through video chat, and we are going to make your strings sing. I am Drew Althoff from Althoff Guitar, and have a wonderful day.